right, Fresh. Let's go to our number 27th team, and that is the UTSA Roadrunners. Well,
Maybe.
this is a fun one here. You know, we talked a lot about, me and you talked a lot about this. People forget they were 13-0 last year. 2 losses in the regular season. Houston and to Texas. And then they lose their bowl game, the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl, to Troy. They got Frank Harris. He's back for his doctoral campaign here. You
I
know,
think so, yeah.
7 years. Hopefully he walks away with a degree out of UTSA after 7 years. He's fun to watch. 4,000 yards last year, 32 touchdowns. Maybe the best quarterback you guys haven't heard of. I mean, I don't know many people who watch a bunch of UTSA, but let me jump here real quick, Fresh. Fascinating. Week 4 at Texas, or at Tennessee, sorry. At Tennessee, week 4. This could be a really interesting game for the Volunteers if they're not ready.
Oh, I mean, if anyone's ever watched UTSA, where they've won back-to-back championships there in the Conference USA, but Frank Harris is a small lefty who can run, who's shifty. If you've ever seen old vintage Michael Vick from Virginia Tech days, I'm not saying he's Michael Vick, but the same kind of feel with the left-handed quarterback who can move, make throws on the run, be very shifty, cut back against the grain, make things happen, very explosive. He's that kind of a fun player to watch. There's a reason why he's had tremendous success putting up tons of touchdowns and tons of yards the past 2 years. And you mentioned the 4,000 last year and 3,100 years, the year before, and 59 total touchdown passes the past 2 seasons. The guy's instant offense. They have dominated, and they're going to the AAC now. They're moving from Conference USA to the American Athletic because they lost 3. Obviously, UCF, Houston, and Cincinnati are gone. They're filling that void with a bunch of other teams. So they already know half teams are coming with them. They kind of have the understanding with who's following along with them as well. But the playing level is not going to be the upper echelon. They're going to have a chance to compete, and they're going to be entertaining. They bring back a bunch of the players from this past 2 years of their 2 titles. So it's going to be a fun story. And what they're doing down there under Coach Traylor at UTSA is something to keep an eye on. Texas football is huge, and we've seen Baylor kind of rose up and TCU kind of rose up under the grasp of the big Texases of the day. When all the high elite guys went there, everybody else who hadn't developed or wasn't getting recruiting found their ways to these smaller programs in Texas, built them up, and had success. You're seeing the same thing right now at UTSA. They've been working under the radar, slowly building a program, using all that Texas talent, and now they're ready to showcase it on a larger scale. The one thing it's going to be a big transition for this team, though. Offensive coordinator Will Stein, who's helped organize and orchestrate this offense, is now going to Oregon. So Oregon's offense is going to build Bo Nix for him. The two of them are going to have fun. How do they be able to develop and keep the offense going with a loss of an offensive coordinator who's helped guide them and cultivate this offense the past couple of seasons? Also, top receiver, Zachary Franklin, put himself in the transfer portals, back-to-back 1,000-yard receivers. Still technically has not signed with anybody or gone anywhere. Last I heard, he was in discussions or rumored to be going to Ole Miss. So he technically still could come back to UTSA, but has not officially signed anywhere. So keep that on your radar as the spring practice as we go through summer and into fall practice. Because if he does come back, that's another big explosive receiver returning. If not, the program's getting a great wideout. But he's definitely going to be missed if he's gone. And you look at the schedule. The AAC, I mentioned the teams are losing, but there's still powerhouses of Tulane, Memphis, ECU, and SMU are still there. So they're going to have competition, but can they be able to get a jump on them and use some explosive early to maybe supplant themselves in the conference? Harris ran for 600 yards too. He's not just that thrower. 600 yards, 9 touchdowns on the ground, but also they have 2 running backs who offer an element of that running game. Kevorian Barnes and Brendan Brady combined ran for 851 and 699 yards respectively, and combined 15 touchdowns. So they have a ground game between the 3 of them. And if you keep the game under control, you run the football successfully, you can slow those games down, let your defense get a rest, and find ways to milk it in the fourth quarter and win football games. And that's what they've done the past 2 years. That's what they're going to do this year. A nice balanced offense that hits and scores touchdowns. The defense, though, is going to have to be a little better, especially now they're playing against more explosive offenses. They can get some sort of a defensive stop. I don't think they'll get it versus Tennessee. they'll be in a good situation to really challenge the AAC title. They get Tulane the last week of the season. That might come down to whoever plays it, host that championship game. I think their ceiling is 10 wins. I don't think they're beating Tennessee, but their ceiling might be 10 wins. I think they can catch the people early. But I think the floor for them is 8. So they're going to be 8 to 10 wins somewhere in there. They have tons of talent. Just depends how the ball is going to bounce in their first year in the AAC. But Frank Harris is the story, guiding this offense and really putting points on the board, and maybe even contending for some high awards if he puts up a heck of a season.
So I'm going to say this here, Fresh. As long as Frank Harris stays healthy, is going to be how I'm going to lead this off. I only have 4 losable games on their schedule. Week 1 at Houston. Houston's moving to the Big 12. I think it would be a complete slap in the face for Houston to lose to UTSA that week after you make that move up to a Big 12. And I think it'd be something that we would be talking about in that Week 1 recap, that Houston, what the heck, you moved up to the Big 12 and then you lose Week 1. That game versus the Volunteers, fascinating game, but I give UTSA a 3% chance of winning that game, 4% chance maybe. But crazy things have happened. Who saw Texas A&M losing last year? And then I only got 2 other losable games in my eyes there, Fresh. I got that week, that Halloween weekend. ECU is coming to San Antonio in the Alamo Dome, and then the last week of the season where the Roadrunners have to go to Tulane. Those are the only 4 losable games in my eyes, as long as Harris is healthy there. I'm hesitant to say that their floor is 8. I mean, I kind of want to say that their floor is 9, maybe 10, but I also would say that their ceiling is 11. There's no
You
way they're
think
been Tennessee.
you think this team has a chance to really make a New Year's Six
That's a
as
great
the Group of 5 representative?
that's a great question. You put me on the spot here, and I'm trying to think who else is in that group of 5 representation. I mean,
I
Tulane's
mean,
got some nice pieces coming back.
Tulane, I think, is the biggest competition. Houston's no longer a Group of 5. BYU is no longer a Group of 5. Cincinnati, UCF, they're no longer Group
Right.
of 5 opportunities. It really does get you thinking on, does it come from the Mountain West? Who can put Boise State, maybe put some of them together out there, or Fresno State? But it's a
Great
platter right
question.
now for it's a platter for the AAC. And I think a discussion we can talk about more later on in the summer.
Yeah, let's wait till let's circle back to that question when we do our previews, because I like that question a lot. I'm really racking my brain. Me personally, I'm always got a soft spot for the ECU Pirates, so I'm always pulling for ECU to be that team out of the group of 5. But yeah, I think you got a great point. I think that they could easily be that team that comes out of the group of 5 there. So again, I'm gonna say their floor to me is 9 wins. I'll go up a little bit, 9 wins, and I'll say that their ceiling is 11. Um, and then if they pull off that 3% chance of somehow they knock off the Volunteers, all bets are off. That's
Oh,
just
no doubt.
crazy. So, all right, Fresh, let's go to our 26 team, the team that just about bit outside, missing the top 25. It's weird not to put this team in the top 25, but last season going 6-7, 3-6 in the Big 12. But the interesting thing is they lost 35-32 to Florida State, and both of us think Florida State's a really, really